Coming up on Tribal News, the Lenape community fights hunger with a food drive, bringing hundreds of non-perishable food items to be donated to Burlington County families in need. Later, we turn to the school's illustrious halls, where students from each of the 4 classes work tirelessly to decorate the halls for homecoming and achieve the coveted Spirit Stick. Then, Tribal News takes you behind the scenes for an exclusive look at what made Peter Pan possible and the fall play's impact on the viewing audience. That and more coming up on this fall 2015 edition of Lenape Tribal News, which begins right now.
Hello, and welcome to Lenape Tribal News. I'm Shannon Lambert alongside Jack Watson. Now, the beginning of the 2015-2016 school year has been a great success for our students and staff. Lenape students have been creating opportunities to become more involved than ever before in these opening fall months.
That's right, Shannon. What do we have to start us off today?
Now, throughout November, the South Jersey Food Bank encouraged Lenape students and staff to donate their canned goods and non-perishable food items for the annual food drive. For the inside scoop, we go to Kelly Donahue outside the North Cafeteria.
For all of November, the South Jersey Food Bank has been working with Lenape High School for the annual food drive, but this time with a twist. It was turned into a school-wide competition. The staff and students were encouraged to bring in their canned goods and non-perishable food items. The food bins were designated for all of the participating 12 teachers who volunteered to compete. At the end of the drive, the teachers who had the most donations in their bin would then have a pie thrown in their face at Lenape's annual Pride Day. This has caught the attention of nearly everyone in the school and stirred up a fierce competition. Mr. McEnany, a special education teacher, has volunteered to help out with the drive in a number of ways and is one of the teachers participating.
Well, Ms. Skype approached me in the beginning of the year and asked if I'd be interested in helping out with the food drive. And it was a good cause. It's a nice event at the high school, so I wanted to get involved. I wanted to get some of my students in my classes involved, so I signed up to kind of co-chair it with her this year.
Not only is the food drive a competition, but it is helping the community tremendously. If the drive goes well, over 50,000 Burlington County residents who are going without a Thanksgiving dinner this holiday will have food to eat.
And I think it's fun to kind of stir up the student population, the school community, and try to get them rallied into a cause. And it is a good cause itself, so I wanted to try to get as many students involved as possible. And if that meant I had to be a volunteer to take a pie in the face, then, so be it.
During the Pride Day pep rally, the top teachers had pies thrown in their faces by students as a way of rewarding the students for all of their contributions. Ms. Skype is a speech therapist. She graciously decided to organize the food drive and work alongside Mr. McEnany.
Lenape's association with the South Jersey Food Bank is just that we use their services to collect the food items and then they distribute them evenly across Burlington County. But this year, in accordance with the new schedule, we thought it might be better to have the teachers participate so that students could focus their efforts on possibly having the opportunity to see their teacher receive a pie in the face at the pep rally.
With so much participation from Lenape students, the food drive was once again very successful. The teacher that collected the most cans was Mr. Hand, but it was a very close race. The top 5 teachers did eventually meet their fate.
Now it's time for the top 5 collectors to give up their promise by taking a pie in the face.
The food drive ended on Wednesday, November 25th, and was no doubt a success. The students and staff were not only able to collect enough food to feed the hungry, but they were also able to come closer together as a family. Great job, Lenape. From all of us of Tribal News, I'm Kelly Donahue.
There are many exciting homecoming traditions held each year. One in particular is hallway decorating, which allows the 4 classes to compete against each other. Gabby Lee is in the freshman hallway with more.
There is no greater high school tradition than homecoming. This week-long celebration involves many exciting activities and events. One such activity that students really enjoy is the hallway decoration contest. All 4 classes get together and compete to try to win the decoration contest, which gives the winning grade a point in the Spirit Week contest. Every week, either during lunch and learn or after school, each class meets and works on the decorations. Each grade works really hard on trying to make their decorations the best that they can be. Every year there is a theme for homecoming. The theme this year is seasons. The seniors got first pick on which season they were going to get. The freshman class was left with spring. This is the first homecoming for the freshman class of 2019, and they are really excited. Nina Gohl, the class of 2019 Secretary of Communications, is very excited about this year's theme and homecoming.
I've had a lot of fun, especially with our whole class and just working all together. It was a lot of fun. It's taken a while, but with all of us working together, we've gotten it done pretty fast. I feel that I've expected it to take a lot longer, but with all our hard work, we've managed to get through with it.
Miss Wolf, the freshman advisor, has done a great job so far despite the fact that this is her first year as a class advisor. She is also very excited to see the outcome of the decorations when it's all done and hung up in the hallway.
We were really excited to have the spring because there's so many things you can do with it, and the decorations are representative of all of the different ideas that we've had. So we're pretty excited about having the spring. For the freshman class, the spring is sort of a new beginning for plants and animals, and kind of gets us out of the winter slump. So I think that's sort of representative of our class, because high school and Lenape in particular is sort of a new beginning for a lot of our students, and they are able to start here and begin the next chapter in their life as young adults to get them ready for their plans after they graduate from Lenape in 4 years. So I think for us particularly, the spring has a lot of meaning and a lot of significance.
Students have put a lot of effort and time into their decorations. Without such hard work, input, and dedication, the results wouldn't have been the same. Walking through the Lenape hallways felt like you were walking through the whole year. We would like to thank Miss Wolf and Nina Gohl for their contribution to the homecoming decorations this year and our story. For Tribal News, I'm Gabby Lee. Now back to the studio.
We'd like to thank all of the students again for helping to decorate the halls. Jack, wouldn't you agree that they looked incredible?
Oh, absolutely. Just from a student's perspective, when I walk in the hallways and see those brilliant decorations, it's absolutely spectacular.
And especially the seniors. They put together this elaborate winter scene, and it just looked amazing.
And speaking of homecoming festivities, Pride Day is one of the most anticipated school days of the year. The 2015 affair did not disappoint. With more on the incredible display of school spirit, we send it to Danielle Wichurkowski.
Lenape Pride Day is an event that gives students a chance to experience open campus life and engage in exciting activities, social festivities, and show their school spirit within a half day. Lenape is the only school in the district that holds this type of event before homecoming, which in the past years has had activities such as a giant Velcro wall, human foosball, a photo booth, and a pep rally.
Pride Day at Lenape is an important part of Spirit Week, and the whole point of Spirit Week is to connect students to each other and connect students to the Lenape community as a whole. Some of the more athletic events that have happened, the Twister, or the more interactive things where students got a chance to get out and show skills that they may not be able to show.
On Pride Day, I engage in a lot of different activities. There's so much to offer. I know some years there's a hypnotist show, which is pretty cool. I don't know if they're having it this year. I like the blow-up twister game. That's a lot of fun. Some people don't really like going to the pep rallies, but I try and get them to go and just hang out with me, hang out with their other friends, and experience what Lenape Pride really is all about, and they end up really enjoying it.
Pride Day is one of the greatest events to participate in, which staff and students look forward to each year. We would like to thank Mr. Laddie and Julia Wojciechowski for giving us details on how these events work and why everyone should participate in these activities. For Tribal News, I'm Danielle Wojciechowski. Now back to the studio.
Things are really starting to heat up for the JROTC drill team as they prepare for their next competition. Let's go over to John Civitillo in the South Gym for more on the club's activities and how they are planning to compete.
Some students spend their time after school in front of a TV or lying on a couch. However, a select amount of students decide to spend their time a bit differently. JROTC students dedicate their time preparing for their next challenge, in this case, their next competition.
It helps improve them in class so they become more alert and they notice the details in things, and in general all the cadets just become more disciplined and know what they're doing and more motivated to be in JROTC.
See, the idea is that you have to win the best squad, platoon, and inspection and color guard in order to win the overall competition. You endure the basic unarmed and armed squad exhibition and squad drill, so to speak. And that gives the student a chance to get out and they plan the floor, how they're going to call the commands, because all the teams have the same commands. So it teaches a kid how to become a manager, an organizer, a planner. Any student that wants a challenge to improve or enhance their ability to organize and plan and endure that kind of competition.
JROTC cadets have a lot of fun in practices and competitions. It's all about having self-control and the ability to perform orders from superior personnel.
Among the hardest working and most dedicated clubs at Lenape is the Storm Robotics team. Let's go to Joshua Saz in D100 to learn more about the famed club.
Team members of the Storm Robotics team have been working hard several days a week to accomplish their goal of finishing the robot before upcoming competitions. Composed of freshmen and sophomores, the team works very hard to complete their robots before the due dates. Let's take a closer look inside. This is the scene inside D100. For the last few months, as the Storm Robotics FTC team prepares for its upcoming competitions. Split into two teams due to high numbers, Storm Robotics FTC division is composed of two teams, 4,390 and 7,433. Per team, there are 4 divisions. Each have separate jobs. Mechanical, whose main responsibility is to build the main hardware components of the robot. Software, who is responsible for coding the robot's brain for working with the controls. Electrical, with wires, the motors to the control boards and to the computer brain. And finally, program management, whose job includes compiling data of what each team did at each meeting, creating the engineering notebook where things like budget, an overall summary of the season, and a biography of each team member is included. Mr. Condorso is one of the coaches for Storm Robotics FTC. He guides the team as they progress through the season.
And our role is making sure that the team has the resources that they need to have in order to be successful. So we set the calendar, we plan meetings, set a rough agenda for each meeting, and also interface with the leadership of the teams. So we handle applications for leadership and make financial decisions and things like that.
While coaches advise over the team, student directors are appointed to lead the team through the good times and through rough patches. Each team has one main director, as well as a director leading each individual department. Ganesh Pramaja is the main team director for Team 7433.
I make sure that the team's working on time. I have a chart called a Gantt chart that I use to make sure that all parts of the robot are going along schedule and making sure that the robot is done and complete when competition arrives. I also make sure that team morale is high, and I also make sure that the team is not going through any problems, and making sure that we have all the equipment we need to go move forward.
While it may not be the most wide-stream sport or the most followed sport, it is an interesting one. Storm Robotics exercises the brains of these student athletes and makes them work harder and just better students in general. As the competitions come near, the students are ready to show off their robot. I'm Josh Saz, reporting for D100 for Lenape High School.
And now our school life correspondent Megan Corey joins us live in the studio with a few words on this fall's happenings.
Hi Megan, how are you? I'm great, thanks Jack and Shannon. There were many exciting fall events that the students were involved with this year. On October 25th, the children throughout the community were invited to Lenape to gather in costumes. From Disney characters to spooky ghosts to witches and cats, students from different clubs and sports teams gave out candy to them and ran fun activities to participate in, which the children hoped to win a prize. On November 11th, Marcus Sedgwick, the author of our One Book, One School selection, participated in a Skype session with the Lenape High School students. It was an honor to have him speak to the students and answer any questions asked. The students definitely benefited from this special guest. There were many other fall events captured, but let's take a look at some of the events for this coming winter instead. How well do you think you know your boyfriend or girlfriend? On February 10th, the annual couples game will be held in the auditorium, featuring couples asking and answering questions about their relationship. The dodgeball tournament is always a night of fun, held on February 19th. Start planning your team soon to compete in this epic challenge. Finally, the Lenape Theater Department puts on 6 shows of Mary Poppins the Musical on March 4th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. Check the Lenape website at lrhsd.org/LenapeHS for ticket information in February. That's just a few big events ahead. We'll of course have coverage on this and much more in our winter edition in March, so stay tuned. Back to you, Jack and Shannon.
Thank you, Megan. We're certainly looking forward to the winter.
Yes, agreed. Now, we'd like to direct our attention back to the fall coverage. There are dozens of elective classes available to Lenape students. The sports medicine class, taught by Jody Stansberry, teaches students everything from first aid to common sports injuries. Let's take a closer look.
But basically, the students learn anatomy and physiology of the muscles and the bones and the skin. We also learn how to evaluate and treat and rehabilitate injuries. And the third thing we do is hands-on experience. We'll do some taping, some splinting of fractures, CPR. So everybody in sports medicine should know how to use the AED and perform CPR, along with knowing when to call 911. So recognizing a serious injury like a head injury or a spinal injury. And also I feel they should know, in which we teach, how to splint a fracture.
arts and sports medicine are very, very similar, just in the fact that from the moment an injury occurs, I mean, sports medicine, you're immediately there and you're assisting the patient, where at EMS, I mean, that's the same thing. You guys do the same thing.
The theater program produced a riveting production of Peter Pan this fall. It couldn't have happened, however, without the hard work put forth from students and staff. Emily Rodano has more.
This year's production of Peter Pan has really taken to the audience. From bright, colorful sets to the incredible talent and amazing special effects. You can tell that the cast and crew have given their all, putting in 110%, working endlessly after school for 2 months to perfect the play, running lines on the wings during rehearsal to mic check after mic check. The actors have long nights when they practice, sometimes 4 hours at a time. The students aren't the only ones who put in all their time and effort. Mr. Bausch is the director of the fall plays and makes the whole thing come together.
This is my 4th play as director, and then prior to that, I was assistant director for 8 years. Well, the play is every day after school, basically for 2 months, several hours after school, and then as you get closer, I mean, it consumes your life. So when I'm not teaching, I'm at the play. So I don't know, many, many hours in a very short amount of time.
Taking this classic story and making it come to life takes a strong cast, and this year they definitely have that. Emily Holbert is in her final play here as a senior and could not be more excited to be one of the main roles in Peter Pan. Acting is really one of her strongest passions.
It was really fun. Like, it was a lot of hard work that we had to do, and we were there obviously every day, but it was a lot of fun. It was good reward for my senior year.
Every show has its problems, but the cast and crew have certainly proved that there is nothing they can't handle. They are prepared to put in the work to create a beautiful masterpiece. The actors, directors, teachers, stage crew, and audio crews all put in their share of dedication.
So from an audience perspective, Peter Pan looked great, I'm sure. So how did it look to you?
I think they did a great job with it. All of the special effects were executed perfectly. They had many scenes where Peter Pan was flying across the stage, and from an audience perspective, that looked amazing. So obviously all of their hard work paid off. Now, as you just saw, there are many skills required among a cast and crew to put on the best show possible. For example, the crew members responsible for the audio have to be able to multitask and handle stressful situations. Matt Agger set out to find out more about the audio crew from Peter Pan.
In order for the cast and crew to produce the fall play, a great deal of effort was required among many unique individuals. Whether it was a stage director or an actor, every person played an essential role in the final production. However, some crew members had many responsibilities, especially in the field of audio. Good audio is arguably one of the most important factors that leads to the success of any live production. Without any audio elements, the actors and actresses would not be heard by the audience, scenes would not have meaningful ambience, and the overall atmosphere of the production would be lost. Due to the importance of a component like audio, 2 capable crew members were required. Alexa Forgione operated the audio mixer, which consequently gave her many responsibilities.
A typical day of rehearsal or at the play in general would start off by everybody trying to get batteries for everybody's mic and make sure everything was coming through and working. And after that, you do mic testing, so making sure everybody's EQ levels were all good. And then after that, we had to go on with the show and go through the run-through and everything. And that's where you find out whether or not you know your cues or not, and if you make mistakes, then you have to fix them in time before the play starts.
Alexa was able to manage most of the audio using the mixer, except for some elements such as the sound effects. They needed to be controlled on an entirely separate interface, requiring the assistance of another crew member. Rachel Fox controlled the sound effects, which had its own unique set of responsibilities.
You know, all I have to do is press the go button because all of my sound effects are already queued up. But before then, we have to download the different sound effects that we want for specific scenes.
that are given to us from the director. So we put them into the program. We usually edit the names so we know when and where it should go. And then, eventually when we're ready, we just press go. I also help put mics on all the actors and actresses and help with the mic checks. So apart from that, I just do everything what Mr. Nick tells me to do, along with the sound effects.
With many separate microphones to control, operating the mixer was not a simple task. There was a lot of stress on Alexa, and numerous technical problems could have evolved while she used the mixer.
The problems that we ran into during especially rehearsals would be the microphones would not pick up or the battery would die, which means we'd either have to leave certain microphones on while we run back and try to fix everybody's microphones while they're in the middle of acting. And it was definitely difficult to make sure that was okay.
Challenges in operating the mixer were not the only obstacles crew members had to overcome. Rachel experienced her own problems while controlling the sound effects.
This year was my first year doing sound effects. Before then, like last year and the year before, I was just learning. So this year, given the responsibility from Mr. Nick to do sound effects was definitely new, and I had to learn everything within a 2-week period, which wasn't that hard, but it was definitely a challenge that I learned to overcome.
Even though these problems existed, Alexa and Rachel were able to overcome them. They were definitely qualified as the right people to fulfill these roles.
I feel my role as audio is definitely just as important as everything that you see on the stage, because people will pick up if something goes wrong through their eyes, but if they also hear something goes wrong, that's important too. So if someone's mic, if they're talking on stage and it's not coming through the speaker, people are going to start asking questions and wondering if it was supposed to be like that or not, and that's my responsibility to make sure that it works.
Alexa and Rachel were always there to help manage the audio, no matter if Peter Pan's mic needed to be turned up or if Tinkerbell's fairy sound needed to be added into a scene. They were given a tremendous value of trust and respect, which helped translate into the success of the play.
As a member of the production staff, and there's a lot of production staff, apart from just the tech side, there's the stage managers, the director of the play is part of the production staff. So without us, the show would not be a show. So we definitely come together, think together, plan, and produce. And overall, the show with us is a success.
Alexa, Rachel, and the rest of the production staff helped make everything go perfectly behind the scenes, which led to a successful fall play. There's no doubt that their hard work will pay off in next year's production as well. For Tribal News, I'm Matt Egger. Now back to the studio.
Students and staff at all of the Lenape Regional High School District schools have transitioned into a new academic schedule this year. With a look at how it's going here at Lenape, we go to Antonios Nitsolas.
This past September, all 4 Lenape District high schools implemented a new schedule. This includes 8 classes among 4 days. 6 classes meet each day, meaning that each class meets 3 out of every 4 days. This is a big change, but things have been going well since its inclusion into the school days of Lenape students and teachers. The new rotating schedule was put in place to make learning more efficient by maximizing the amount of time throughout the day that students are in the classroom. Longer periods allow students to stay in class longer and go deeper into discussed topics. This is meant to enhance the students' learning. Mr. Fury, a health and physical education teacher, likes the changes made to the new schedule.
Well, the new schedule is different in the fact that basically we have 6 classes. We have 3 classes in the first wheel of the day, and then we have 3 classes in the afternoon wheel. Where in the old schedule, it was basically 13 periods throughout the course of the day. That's really about it. It's just longer periods per class.
Thomas Keene is a student who goes to the schedule every day and has adjusted to it well.
Well, for starters, there's block periods, which dictates how many classes you have per day, and sometimes that messes people up because they don't know what class they have.
I find the new schedule pretty simple to follow. Once we got going at the beginning, there is a learning curve as far as how the schedule rotates. For each day, class or day 1 through 4, but once you get the hang of it, it's been pretty easy.
I've adjusted clearly to the new schedule. It makes perfect sense to me.
The new schedule has incorporated a lunch and learn, which is a 50-minute lunch in which students eat lunch and get help from teachers. Many students also use lunch and learn to socialize with friends who they don't see during the day. The school has kiosks spread all over the hallways. where students could buy lunch from. This makes lunch more accessible and more available, even with the amount of hungry students.
Well, it can give you more time to do your homework for the classes that you don't have for the day.
With phys ed and health, driver's ed as well, it's actually, I could probably go for about an hour and a half period long as opposed to 57 minutes because there's so much information and you know, the period's broken up into segments and you're not lecturing for the whole time, so you can actually get a lot more stuff done.
The new schedule is different and a little hard to get used to it, but it's here to stay. We would like to thank Thomas Keene and Mr. Fury for their opinions about it. I'm Antonio Tullis, reporting for Tribal News. Now back to the studio.
Students here at Lenape have been helping to save many lives in Burlington County. Nicholas Krupkala is at the North Gym with the full story on the Student Council Blood Drive.
Usually we have a blood drive in the fall and in the spring, so typically about 100 to 150 students come in per blood drive, and faculty and staff also come in and donate. We use the Community Blood Council of New Jersey, so there's usually a team of probably about 20 to 25 people that come in between the phlebotomists, who are the technicians that actually take the blood, and then people who do registration and check people in. For every pint of blood that is collected, it saves about 3 lives. And there's also a double transfusion machine, so that saves about 6 lives.
I think donating blood helps other people because there's so many people in the world that, you know, have rare blood types and they need blood transfusions and they need to get surgeries that they don't have the blood supply to do, and I think that donating blood can help so many people, and I just feel like it's a small way to contribute to your community. I think it helps people throughout the state. I mean, obviously it can help someone in the school if there's someone that needs it, but most of the time it helps people countrywide.
So for the Community Blood Council of New Jersey, we switched over to them a couple of years ago, so all the blood that we collect from there is used locally, so in local counties. At hospitals for things such as blood transfusions for cancer patients or to accident victims who need blood. So the nice thing is that it goes locally, so you know where it's going directly.
It always makes me feel good when I help someone in need because I'm pretty stable where I am and I have everything that I need, and I think that there's so many people out there that need more and there's so much we can do, and this is just a little step. I think the pain you sustain while giving blood is very worth it. One prick and then you're there for maybe 20 minutes, but it doesn't really hurt.
That's all for our fall 2015 edition of Lenape Tribal News. We'd like to thank all of our interview subjects and congratulate our reporters on their efforts.
For Shannon, Lambert, and our entire crew here in Studio ND27 at Lenape High School, I'm Jack Watson. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you this winter.